And the professionals were like this, the
Yeah.
professionals say this is a great option for your son. And so you trust them. And then it arrives and it's like, this is absolutely not the right thing for him. And how do they, talk to me and they're like, well, does it not fit him? And I'm like, yeah, no, he can physically fit in it, but it's not the right thing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just need to. So I have a call waiting on a call from the supervisor. So if I need to silence myself for a little bit, it'll be for that.
Totally fine.
Yeah, you do what you need to do. Sounds like a lot, Laura. And Aaron, that sounds like a really good offer. So maybe you want to just right now put it into the chat or message Laura directly so that that happens. Because Laura, what I get right now is you need all the support that you can find.
Yeah.
And
I'm messaging my sister right now. So
thanks. I'll text you or I'll message you my cell.
perfect.
That's okay.
So Laura, also just, can you feel where you're not alone in this?
Totally. That's where I go whenever I'm like in a tough space. I feel super alone. So thank you.
Totally. Yeah. So then just feel the presence of everyone here, really sending you love and sending you support, and just breathe. This is where all your breathing practice and meditative practice is helpful, because it creates room for all the love to come in and all the feelings that want to move out. And I really appreciate you sharing all of that.
Coming in hot today. Sorry.
Welcome as you are.
You got to put it somewhere.
This is the right place to bring it, actually. So if there's ever a moment when you feel like, oh, I'm too something or other to come, that's just like nonsense, because this is the place to come and bring yourself however you are, in the depth of your tenderness. So yeah, come as you are. Does anybody else want to respond right now or say anything?
Laura, I've been noticing each time that we get together, the stress that you're under, I can see it coming out. And I just want you to know I see you, and I'm so glad you're here. And I'm available. I'm just a phone call away if you want somebody to talk to. Okay, I'll put my number.
Yeah, I think that seems to be one of the traps, right? Is to go into isolating and feeling that we're so alone. And we all, does anyone else do it? It's like, oh, I'm super messed up right now. I'm super stressed. I cannot reach out to anybody. And in fact, you can, and you need to. And I'm just talking to everybody. So, Susie, you want to add anything?
Oh, I was going to say, I missed the specifics, but you know how to find me, Laura. You have my number. But even not knowing the specifics, I think I'm working on that, of just like, we are bearing witness. And sometimes you don't even need the specifics, but just to know that you are not the only person who has felt this way, or, has been overwhelmed by things or whatever. So I can just, again, I'm coming and not here. But just know that we're here and we're carrying this with you. Just being in a world that is imperfect, right? Every human has to live in a world that is just has pain and suffering in it, and beauty and joy, and we're all just trying to do our best. So we are here with you in that, in whatever capacity you're feeling in today.
Yeah, it's a lot. I really feel the allotness of what's here in our field, collective field, and in the world. And yeah. And I came back from a trip into my family of origin with my aging parents. So I'm here with whatever I'm here with too. Just the pain. There's a lot of pain in the world. And to presence that pain, it's almost like it's hard to breathe. You know, that's what I realized when I came back. I took as much care of myself as I could. And when I came back, I just unraveled, because sometimes it's hard to breathe in certain contexts, even if we're meditating, even if we're moving our bodies, even if we're doing the things that we know to do. It's just a lot. Sometimes life is just really a lot. So my inclination right now is to meditate. How does that sound? And breathe. And I just want to say, because I know meditation can be challenging when we're triggered. And so if the meditation is you crying or laying down or moving or doing whatever, do the meditation in the way that works for you. And your tears are welcome. All your feelings are welcome. I'm saying this for all of us and anyone who will watch this replay, that your feelings are welcome and we're with you. Your feelings make sense. So, and today's topic is unconditional acceptance. So it seems like it's timely, even though we're holding it in the context of relationship. There's just so much, there's a lot to accept. And if we don't accept it, then we're in a tug of war. Then we're in a wrestling match with life. And we know that we can't win that. So let's just, let's sink in. So just closing your eyes and let yourself breathe. Take some really big breaths, breathing in through the nose, letting go through the mouth. Just breathing at your own pace and letting go of what you're holding. Sometimes we have to just release the pressure. So let this be a meditation of release. Staying connected to your breath and letting your body start to unwind, start to release. Let yourself surrender into wherever you're sitting, wherever your body is resting. You can lean in to the structure that's holding you, the physical structure of your chair, your sofa, your bed. And what if you lean in to this container, to this loving container of rare mothers, of beings who can hold you, and in fact, who are. Making room for your feelings and accepting, shining that love of unconditional acceptance first into your own heart. Accepting that you are showing up. You are showing up to the extent of your ability, and perhaps even beyond. And what if you can allow the warm light of loving acceptance to shine inside? Notice what it feels like to accept yourself as you are and to include any resistance or objections that may be arising. And what if every breath could create space for you to be with all of what is here now for you, all of the pain, the frustration, the sadness, the disappointment, alongside the gratitude. Even if it's just a flicker of gratitude, a glimmer of joy. Just allowing it all to be here. And just taking these last couple of minutes to feel how you are held. Because one flavor of acceptance lives alongside accepting or receiving. Can you receive the support that is here right now? Can you accept that you are not alone? That you are a part of an incredible community, a family of amazing beings who care deeply about you. And who understand, who empathize, just feeling what it might be like to receive the love. What's the physical experience of this? The energetic, the affirming thoughts. Maybe I am held. Maybe the truth is, I am not alone. I am held in love. Just savor this moment a little bit longer. maybe bringing your hands to rest on your heart to anchor in the love and support. Let's just take a few minutes in your own time to reflect a little bit on this meditation, on what it's like to open yourself to receiving, and what supports you in accepting yourself, accepting your partner, accepting the challenges that you are navigating, and also the grace with which you walk. So what are the hindrances or challenges to accepting, and what supports you? Let's just take a few minutes and reflect. Taking a little bit to finish up, and we will come together. Right. So what arose? What is arising in this, in the context of this inquiry? What do you want to say?
I need to tell Laura to start. My sister messaged me back. She's going to call you as soon as we're done with our session.
Nice job. Thank you, Erin.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
See, this is the nature of community. It's like you bring your need and then like, boom, which is also something to receive. That in order to receive what you need, you have to ask. You have to come to the table and say, I need something. So well done, Laura.
What came up for me, thank you again. What came up for me with this was like, or maybe I'm wrong, but like, you can't really accept future things. Perhaps. I know I wasn't supposed to be thinking about things I can't accept, but I
Well,
just.
that was part of it. It was like accepting what gets in the way. So say more about that.
I don't know, I guess, or the acceptance is more easily accessible in the present moment.
Right. The future is projection and conjecture or possibly catastrophic thinking. And you're absolutely right. It's like, I can accept what's here now. I can either choose to accept it, or I could say, actually, like, I accept what's going on and it's not okay for me. So I'm going to make some noise, which is what's happening. Because it's not, it's actually unacceptable. Like, okay, this is what's here, is the acceptance is the step of now. And then I'm going to take some action because it's not working. So yeah, I hadn't really thought about it that way, that acceptance is actually, acceptance and unacceptance can just be kind of back to back.
It's interesting. I've had to work a lot on just because I've had ADHD all my life, right? And it's like a personality deficit, I guess, if society looks at it that way. And I'm not as organized as some, I'm a little more unpredictable. But I've had to try to reframe my thinking and accept the fact that, I bring things to the table that some people don't, right? It might not be organization. It might not be I's dotted and T's crossed all the time, but I bring energy and I bring other things. And, one of my best friends recently said it's like that Japanese art of, she called it kintsugi, where they repair broken things with gold. And I try to look at my life as if it might be a broken bowl, right? Like what I've gotten might be, instead of this thing I thought it was going to be, I might have gotten it and it's broken, right? Compared to what I thought it would be. And it's now been repaired and I chose to put gold into it, right? And I try to think about my efforts and my strengths as the gold that I'm putting into these things, right? And the lessons I learned through these hard things and the beauty that comes with that as the gold that goes into repairing this vision that I had that kind of got broken.
Beautiful. I love that.
I said something similar, just so I'm living with my parents right now for this therapy session. And I said something similar to my mom yesterday about like this just not being the family that I had envisioned, or, but it was kind of negative language, similar to broken, right? Where it has this negative connotation. So it's nice to hear how you said that, because I didn't mean it in like a down and out, like defeated sort of way. But I was like, this isn't, it's not what I wanted. Making the most of it was not what I wanted. Certainly not what I expected.
We have to remind Quincy of that all the time. He's 16 and he's confronting a lot of really hard things for a 16-year-old, and he gets angry a lot. And so I've kind of had to use that analogy with him, that he's just going to have to try harder and things are going to be harder. But all with that comes character, and it stinks because it's not always what he wants to hear. It's not always easy, and sometimes it just really sucks. But, I kind of am a stickler to this belief that we have a choice to at least influence what we can, and it doesn't mean I'm not sad a lot, right? And it doesn't mean that it's not really, really hard and overwhelming. But and broken doesn't always mean a negative thing. It's just not who envisions that, right? Who sits and says, when I have a family, would really like to be dealt a really awful hand of cards and have a child that struggles and to watch that child struggle. Like, nobody asks for that. So it's normal to be upset about it.
I'm glad to hear that you're ADHD. I'm ADD, and now I know there's someone in the world I can talk to about it. When in the meditation, when it was talking about, or you were talking about the container you're in and settling into it and everything, boy, my brain just woke up, and because I have been trying to figure out how I got through all those years. What was it that I did that worked? And I had to take a pen and paper, even though I was in meditation, and I wrote it down, because my husband built this beautiful room for me. It was the last thing that he built, and it will be the last thing that he built because of his condition. And how long have I been in here? 8 months. And I didn't establish my little space, which I've always done. My little corner in the world where I have my desk so I can write. I have my jewelry, which none of it's real, but I just have my little space all organized, and I got to share it with you, because then I'm going to tell you the other things that I've always done. Oh, how can I share it with you? Not with my phone. I just have to pick this up.
I think you muted, Phyllis.
Yeah, you did. You muted yourself somehow.
Okay.
There you go.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
My little corner with my swivel chair. My little corner with my swivel chair, so I can do everything I need to do, and I can put my feet up when I'm in meditation. That's something I've always done. And having that little corner helped me get through and be strong when I needed to be. The other thing I've had is my break I would go away overnight to a hotel. That was my escape. And I'd do it maybe, every third week or something. But that gave me the strength to go and keep on taking care of my wonderful family. And then my exercise, if I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and walk around my property, but usually I got up around 6 when the sun came up, and I would do my walk. So anyway, those were the things that I did. Well, this unconditional acceptance, it's not fair what's happening right now. This is not how I saw my old age. And I've been hurt and angry about it. Not a lot, but enough that I recognize that I'm feeling the old feelings. It's not fair. But there's only so much you can do. And my husband wants to get on his tractor or his forklift. And I have to keep interfering and saying, you can't do that. And then deal with his anger. And then at some point I let it go. And if he goes out there and does that and hurts himself, I can't. Old age and death are two things that you have to experience yourself. And I can't save him from everything. I can pray for him. And I can do the best I can. And the supports that I have are you girls and the stories that you tell. Okay, but that reminds me now, where is it? I found this thing. I lost it. Oh, that I wanted to share with you. Because if you write something like this about your child, which I did a lot of writing about my children, but this is about their father. Their father, my lover, husband, friend, taught us by example to get up and get going by doing, and thereby getting the job done and enjoying the benefits. I wrote this when I was angry with him because I wanted to remember what I fell in love with. His willingness to listen and learn in spite of being stubborn taught us by example to be open-minded. He taught us that. In times of trial, his kindness and empathy taught us compassion. He became our family's super dad and my Superman. I wanted to share that with y'all.
Thank you.
And that helps me look past all of this and remember all of the good stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much, Phyllis. And I mean, I feel like you just laid out the process very clearly because you included your feelings, your feelings of it's unfair and I'm angry and I'm upset, because if you skip over those, they're just going to get buried. So you laid it out. Okay, I'm feeling this, and now I have room to write about the good qualities, the good things, everything that Mr. B has brought to your family. So that's a beautiful practice. I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom with us. This is wisdom of your having lived as long as you have. And I'm so glad you're here with us to bring the ripeness of your heart. It's truly a gift.
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking earlier this morning, just, and part of my writing was just kind of thinking about just the chaos of life, right? The things that you don't choose, the things that you just get handed, and just like accepting that that's the world we live in. Yeah, I don't know what to think of Chris much, but yeah, Phyllis, I just loved your corner, right, where you made your safe space of, this is a place that I can go, that I do have a little bit of control over, right? I can put things where I want them to be, you know, whether that's your home or a corner or a place in your heart, right? Whatever those things are. But I think, yeah, I think my radical acceptance is just having to accept that, like, we live in a world that is just not in my control, right? I think that I'm learning a new level of, like, I don't control things. I do not run the world, you know, and just having to let go. And that was delusional for a long time, you know, but, you know, just having to accept, you know, that I'm going to do, you know, try to make gold in the broken things, right? Or see gold in the broken things. And how is that going to help me, you know, accepting the world and knowing that it is a little random in a little bit of, you know, I have some influence, I don't have some control. And how can that make my life more beautiful? Or how can I eliminate some suffering that I had when I thought that I was in control, when I wasn't in control, you know? So I heard elements of that in kind of everyone's stories, right? Of accepting things that you didn't choose, or things that you wouldn't have chosen, or, you know, but I think, you know, and even Laura having to accept that I can't accept the future, right? I just have to live it. Like, I don't have control over that. You know, I can only accept what is here and now, you know, and the next minute or the next year, you know, and just accepting that we really do only have the present in its own way, but we still have to live in, like, the shadow of the future, you know, or the light of the future, the shadow of the past, right? That somehow we have to hold all of those things at the same time. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but I think that's what I'm working on accepting, is just the out of controlness, you know, just accepting, like, we live in a world that is imperfect, and what is my part to make it more beautiful, but not to make it perfect, right? Or it's never going to not be flawed, you know, like, where I'm just a human, right? I just showed up on this planet in a body that doesn't last forever, you know, that has emotions and does what it wants, and, you know, in lots of ways. And obviously I have control and all sorts of agency, but there's also a lot of things that, you know, we're just here, you know, and just having to accept that I just showed up and this is what being human means, apparently. So how do I make my day a little more beautiful, a little more easy, a little more, I don't know.
You give yourself grace.
Part of acceptance is hope and faith, because it's a small example, but the reason it took me 8 months to get my little corner was because I was living each day fully, engaging with what was happening, with what my husband was going through and what my daughter was going through because of my husband, her father. And so we just, part of acceptance is knowing that things change and things will keep changing and things will, and the part of hope and faith is that through the grace of God, things get resolved and things will be better. They will end up okay. They will end up the way it was going to. So
They will end up okay, and they might not end up the way you thought they would. And that's where that acceptance comes in. It's like, all right, well, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And can I give myself the space to experience whatever is here, so that then I'm in surrender, and that word agency that you brought in, Susie, and I have agency. And what do I have agency over? How I respond. Things are crumbling in individual worlds. Things are challenging, in old age, since I came from old age just now, or, my parents aren't even that old. My mom just turned 80. My dad's 81. And, I can see it. I can see my father has trouble getting up from the chair. He was a super athlete. The man played 3 sports every day: run, swim, play squash. Now he can't even get up from the chair without some struggle, like the low, smushy chair. So it's like coming into this place of, well, what can I accept and what do I actually still have agency over? Otherwise, as you described, Susie, it's like, we'll just get flooded because it's so overwhelming. And so we just have to, I feel like it's so simple, and yet it's not easy. We have to land in the present and go, okay, so in this moment, what is my response? What can I do just in this moment? And I feel like I love that you brought this in, Erin, this kintsugi, this like inserting this line of gold in the brokenness. That's what I can bring. I can bring the gold of my response, which is not always, I can't always do, and in the moments that we can do that, and it's a struggle, sometimes people give up. I'm seeing my dad kind of give up. If that were me not getting up from the chair, I'd be like, can I get some acupuncture? What's the healing work? What are the supplements alongside the PT and whatever else? Let me get a physical trainer. Let me get my legs back to where they work and my core strong enough that I can stand up. I'm not going to be a super athlete at 81 anymore, or he's not. I might be. But so what is my response? It feels like that's the gold into the brokenness of things, the challenge of things, that you look around and you're like, I can't believe that this is my reality. And so all we have is our response.
We've been trying to do that with Quincy. He sees his sister, and his brother being super athletes. My daughter is a competitive softball catcher. She's very good. Sophomore in high school, or freshman in high school. Sorry, he's a sophomore. But I mean, she hit 2 home runs last night in 1 inning on her high school varsity softball team. And so she's, celebrated for these things. And he sees this and he watches this. And I'm trying to balance both worlds because she is very good at what she does. And she does it because she loves it and it fills her. And he's struggling, with, well, I can't do that. And, he doesn't feel seen and heard in our community here because we're down south. And if you don't play sports, what do? If you don't play ball. And so, I asked him a couple of weeks ago, I said, buddy, what is, being seen mean to you? And he said, music is a big thing for him. And he really, really wants to tell his story through music. And I told him, I said, well, then that's our goal. That's our goal. Our goal is to give you a way to tell that story, right? And accept what you have and work through it through music. And I think for him, That's going to be a big piece. And it is hard supporting him through these emotions of acceptance because he's only 16. I mean, I had to accept that I was a teenage mom at 16. That's when I had my oldest one. But I cannot imagine having to accept a mortality issue. Like that's so scary when you're that age, and that breaks my heart watching him go through it. It absolutely breaks my heart. But if I'm going to love him unconditionally, right, that means that I'm going to have to teach him how to give himself grace and how to love himself unconditionally and how to take something that isn't what he wanted either and make something out of it. And it's super hard and emotional.
It reminds me of the phrase that I try to remind myself of is the what is mine to do, and it sounds like it gets me out of comparison every once in a while, when I need it, where it's like, what is mine to do, right? Like in this moment, what is something only I can do as this person, with this set of relationships. And it feels like, what's his to do is not to join a softball team and try to be his sister, right? That's not going to work. He's not going to feel seen that way. That's just not his to do. And so finding what is yours to do, and the way that you feel seen. So I think, yeah, what is mine to do in this moment? What is yours to do for him that only you can do, and letting go of the rest, right? And knowing that I don't have control over what is other people's to do. And that's what I have to remind myself, like, this one's mine, that's yours, and I'm not you. I can't do you. I can't control all of those things, what you like or don't like. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's as simple as him being angry and not being able to stay up all night, right? Or drink a Red Bull with his buddies. Or, I mean, sometimes it's as simple as that, but, he can't, go skateboard in the driveway right now because he's got a dilated aorta and a severely compressed pulmonary artery that needs to be fixed. And he's got liver disease at 16. And, they won't even talk about liver disease treatment right now because his heart is priority. And we have to wait until April to go get it fixed. And so we chose not to say anything to him yet because I don't want him sitting there and wearing that for a month and scaring himself and worrying. And so every day when he gets on that bus and he leaves me and he goes to school, I sit back and I wait to get a call that his aorta ruptured or he's not breathing. And I try to busy myself. But I can't change it. He has to go to school. And he has to be a 16-year-old boy. And he has to argue with his sister. And I have to keep this from him right now. Until April 19th. It's going to be the longest next month of my life. But that's what we do when we love people, right? We accept our circumstances and we just suck it up, buttercup. And we got to do it.
You're
And
doing
sometimes
an
it's
amazing job, Erin. You're doing an amazing job. And sometimes you what?
sometimes you just fall apart. Sometimes you feel like this tiny little person who's arming yourself for a tsunami with a piece of cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what it feels like a lot right now.
We are here with you. We are holding you, and you are holding a lot. It's true. It feels like you're holding up, a boulder, like with a Q-tip,
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that a little bit earlier, Erin, of, and just again with the control, where it's like we just don't have control of when someone dies, right? Or how, how they handle their old age. But I think especially like that mortality piece, right? Like we just do not have control over when it is that time, right? And you can do all the interventions, make all the choices, and there's still just going to be a time when, when people, pass and their time's done. And having to accept that that's going to be a component of life, and parenting even, right? That you're like, oh, if they were supposed to do that for me, right? They're supposed to worry about me in old age. And like, that's not how it works in this scenario, right? So anyways, I feel, yeah, right, that just having to bear witness to that is painful. But I think accepting that and having to see, like, I've had friends who have lost kids, and had to kind of make that choice of like, okay, we're going to stop intervening now, right? Like we're going to stop and we're going to let them go. And I just feel like there's also, so much beauty in that surrender, right? In that understanding of this is not, in my control, right? Just having to come alongside, right? And this is what you bear witness to. And it's so painful. So painful.
It's my worst fear. It's my absolute worst fear, and we've had to coach him through. Everybody goes. Most people they don't know the what or the when. The how. His how and his what are just a lot more clear. We still don't know when. And then I worry about him being scared if something happens. What if I'm not there? What if I can't hold his hand? I mean, the kid still hates needles, so he can't even get a shot. What if I'm not there? What if he's scared? How's his sister going to handle it? How's his brother going to handle it? How am I going to handle it? Those are all those things. And he worries about us. Even in these conversations, he worries about us. And I hate that for him. He's such a sweet soul that he worries about us. And that's not okay. I mean, it just shows his character, I suppose. But yeah, those are my biggest fears. It's going to happen and I can't be there. And I won't be there. Or that I'll be too late.
And the truth is you don't know. And so
I know.
you can only hold that when the time comes, it will be the best possible scenario for you and for him, because I think that it's like it's a both and, because having those thoughts gives you the opportunity to do this kind of pre-grieving, because you're having those thoughts, you're having those feelings. So it's not going to just come and ambush you, even though it is. But so you're having those thoughts. And so it's just finding for yourself, for ourselves, like, how much can we touch it? How much can you go there? How much is useful? Like, okay, I'm letting myself feel the grief of this. Is one side of the line. The other side of the line is I am scaring the heck out of myself and like ripping my heart out 100 times. So it feels like it's the worst thing you can think of, it's the absolute worst thing. So I really, Erin, I just feel like you are navigating this with so much grace and so much wisdom and humor somehow. So it's, yeah. And I'm so also grateful that you're bringing this conversation here, because it's so important to have this conversation, and Phyllis, you're bringing your experience of having already walked through that. unfathomable pain. And so to somehow just, I feel like it's just coming back to the present, being like, all right, we are here today because PS, there's a war going on, right? Overseas. And we don't exactly know where that's going. We can pray, we are praying, and we're hoping for intelligence to prevail, but we don't know. So all we really have is this moment to respond, to be loving, to be vulnerable, to be handling things. That's really all we have. And that's always the case. And even though we think, your son, you might think what your son, what eventually will be the final moment, but we have no idea, actually. We have no idea. I mean, that's the thing that it's like I can't, like I have a pretty big capacity, but I can't dwell here all the time. Like otherwise I'll just implode and explode simultaneously. There's just no way. So it's like, okay, here we are. It's today. It's another beautiful day in the universe. We're here together. We have food to eat. We have clothes to wear. We have each other. So.
And we don't know what's going to happen, because I don't know if you guys have heard, but the disease that my children had, the Hunter syndrome, is now the federal government has now passed and made it part of the new birth screening. And so your son at some point may be giving a talk and saying, back when I was 16, this is what I went through, So
Yeah.
you never know. Just have hope and faith. Yeah.
That's why he gets on the bus every day, because it's fear that I'm feeling. It's not reality. If I knew that was going to happen, he wouldn't be getting on a bus.
Yeah.
And you're giving him his life, you're giving him his life to live. And I just think ending on that note of hope and faith that you bring so beautifully, Phyllis, is a good place to pause. And how can we dwell in this? So maybe that's our practice. Even when all the thoughts of catastrophic thinking and disaster and, the world ending or whatever might go on, how can we have hope and faith? How can we feel our feelings, all the feelings, and then, okay, now I could breathe for a moment. I can breathe for a moment. I could put my kid on the bus. I could, I could let my kid just set foot outside the house, for goodness sakes. So, well, I'm so grateful to be here with all of you. It's really, you are extraordinary human beings. And I'm so thankful.
Thank you for your help.
Honored. Thank you all for your wisdom. And please reach out to me if you need support. I'd be happy to, give you, it's what I do, so an exploratory session. If you need support, I would just give you that as a gift. So feel free to reach out if you're needing bonus extra support. And reach out to each other. There's so much wisdom here in our circle. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.